Hello, this is Taha.
This is Anayana,
This is Movie Masala.
and we're here to yap at you about films we've watched recently.
And today we're doing Saturday Night.
Okay.
Saturday Night, it's a new kind of entertainment. It's abstract and defiant, avant-garde yet blue collar.
It's also a comedy.
I think it's implied.
85 minutes till showtime.
90 minutes of live television by a group of 20-year-olds who have never made anything.
We just have to make it to air.
If there's one phrase that I really hope I get to say once in my life, it is definitely I want to dedicate this Academy Award to. But if there's another one, that is definitely, and live from New York, it's Saturday Night. I love SNL. I acknowledge its criticisms. I know where it goes bad, but for what it is, I adore SNL. I've been watching it for the past like 7-ish years now, but just the fact of how it runs. If you have ever watched SNL behind the scenes, the miracle it is to produce every single week is incredible. Saturday Night is about the 90 minutes before the first episode of SNL went live on air.
Oh, that sounds so interesting.
It is such a fun film to watch. It is also a stressful film to watch in such a good way.
Okay, I can imagine.
Yeah, right from the get-go, the film starts with small little like on the TV performance, like the first clips from the first episode and SNL in general, right? And then it goes into film Wolfhard's character like trying to sell people ticket outside, and then cut to 10 p.m., 10:01, and you see Gabriel LaBelle, who plays Lorne Michaels, the producer of SNL, the person who's been behind SNL for the past 5 decades, basically.
Yeah.
And he is so good in this role. He is a bit younger than Lorne Michaels was at this point. He looks a bit younger, but some people might know Gabriel LaBelle as the person who played basically Steven Spielberg in The Fabelman. And I feel he does that job so well of trying to hold this fort together of these wildly talented but also clashing personalities and trying to make this entire concept of a show work. And throughout this film, there's this continuous thing of like, Lorne, what is the show? And he continuously evades the question of what SNL is even supposed to be. Because keep in mind, this is 1975. SNL is an avant-garde counterculture show. It is not what's normally on TV. And even in the film, there's a continuous thread that this is not going to go on air. They're just going to replay Johnny Carson. And that is what America at this time was used to. SNL was such a genre-defining program. So throughout this film, I was very much just continuously wanting to learn more about like the other parts of this film. And that's a credit to this film, because even if you do not know the monument that SNL is, it draws you into how chaotic it is to produce something like that and how hard it was to put that onto air, right? Thoughts are a bit like here and there on this film. Like
That's fine.
So shouting out Gabriel LaBelle, also wanting to shout out Rachel Sennott, who plays Rosie Schuster, who is Lauren's wife, but also there's a complicated dynamic between them.
Oh my God.
Rachel Sennott is in Bottoms. She's in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. She's a wonderful actress.
I love Rachel Sennott. Comedy genius.
Yeah. And she has such a charismatic personality in this film that you cannot be drawn towards. It's so good. Just the chemistry she has with Lauren, but the chemistry she has with Dan Aykroyd as well, played by Dylan O'Brien, is just so quick. She is just like a person you know you can instantly fall in love with, right? Other highlights is Corey Michael Smith, who plays Chevy Chase. He fully convinces you how shitty of a person Chevy Chase is, while also being like, he is still funny. There is no joke that this man is still a person who can make you laugh. Nicholas Braun, who most people might know as Greg from Succession, who plays Jim Henson from The Muppets, and also Andy Kaufman. Great in both roles. Like, honestly, this film is incredibly well cast, I would say. Like, honestly, the cast works so well. And the cast sells you on the chaos that SNL can be. It sells you on like how hard the clashing between Chevy Chase and John Belushi was, like how some of these writers just didn't get along with some of the actors, the cast members just didn't get along, how even making the set, how even the brickwork, every single part of this show should not have happened. Yet it did.
Yeah.
this film is not interested in like doing what happened after. It is purely based on those 90 minutes before SNL went on air.
I think in that way, it feels like a theater production. It feels more like a play, that means.
Yes, it could definitely be put to stage with the way like it's done. I feel you could still manage it, but it uses the medium of cinema, of film really well though. This is not a single take film, but it does use a lot of very long takes to like go through the sets, so not only do you get a feel of the entire building and like the floor which everything is set on, but also because continuously ramping up the tension, you genuinely feel stressed. Like, no joke, after this film ended, I got into the headspace of like Lorne Michaels so well.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it does that really well. I think in the middle though, it does lose some of that pacing. It does substitute it for like a more emotional part of this film. And that's not necessarily a bad choice. It's not something that's done not well. But I do think then the pacing kind of drops a bit there. It doesn't do that simultaneously while keeping that pacing up.
Yeah.
But when that pacing is going up,
It is difficult to manage like genuine moments of emotion versus like a fast-paced, like action-driven plot. So I can see that, yeah.
again, with that pacing, if anyone's seen Boiling Point or anyone's seen Uncut Gems, maybe it's still not to the level of Uncut Gems, but it's still within that realm of like you're continuously doing one thing. How is this all gonna happen? You are as stressed as the main character.
Yeah.
And again, Gabriel Abel does a fantastic job. He sells you on why he loves these people, what he wants to do with the show, and also like he is terrified while also trying to get all of this together, like make this work all together, right? Two other things I want to shout out: J.K. Simmons and Willem Dafoe have like small little roles. They're just really fun. They chew up scenery perfectly well. Again, such a well cast film.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, before I forget, John Batiste, who composes the score, does an incredible job. The score is so well done for this film. It is perfect in keeping you on edge with the film and syncing up to the pace of the film. I just think it was so well done. It was something that stuck in your head and just accompanied the film so wonderfully well.
Yeah.
So this is directed by Jason Reitman, who co-writes it with Gil Keenan. Both of them reunite from Ghostbusters Afterlife. The main thing what I want to say is they don't have something like this in their resume. So it was just a very nice thing to see. And I thought it was just genuinely well made. Maybe it's the fact that they already have something to build off of. But I think what they do with the material they have is well done. And especially if you are someone like me who genuinely enjoys the show, who loves the entirety of what is behind SNL, what made SNL, you will have a fun time with it. It will make you want to go back and actually watch the first episode of SNL. Go on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say in a way it's like the perfect like homage to SNL because it's like it's not glorifying it in today's day. It's just highlighting all the work and effort that went into putting it up.
Oh, 100%. It is simultaneously telling you how hard this was to make, but also telling you there are flaws. Like Chevy Chase is a shit person. John Belushi is hard to work with. The person who J.K. Simmons plays sexually just harasses someone. Like, you know, it tells you that, oh, there is a lot of like misogyny in this place. There's racism in this place. It's just not saying there isn't one. To some point, I think those could be focused more on. But this is also a very tight film. And I think that's not what the film's main message is. You could definitely argue that that's something also worth saying, which I would agree on.
Yeah.
But I think this film is more particularly centered on Lauren and the effort it needs for him to make this whole thing work. And literally, it's on the very last seconds that SNL even goes live. And again, this is just ranting about SNL for a bit.
That's fine.
Because honestly, I wanted to watch this film when it came out, but it wasn't playing on a very lot of sites. So now it's on streaming. Most people can watch it now. SNL is just such a behemoth of comedy. SNL genuinely is one of, if not the most influential things in Western comedy, right? The amount of people that have come out of there. You have Kate McKinnon. You have, now I'm blanking on every single person. Eddie Murphy,
Seth Meyers,
Bill Hader, John Mulaney, Maya Rudolph, Amy Poehler. I could go on and on and on. There is no end to the amount of comedic talent SNL has produced and the amount of effort it makes to make every single week's episode. Just like, honestly, if you're listening to this after this, on YouTube, just go and watch behind the scenes of SNL and you'll realize how hectic it is to make every single episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sells you on how such a behemoth could have easily not gone to air ever. And how that could have just been scrapped in favor of, like, again, Johnny Carson reruns. Right?
Yeah.
Again, there are flaws, no doubt, but I think it sweeps you up in the grander narrative it wants to tell you. And it just makes you so invested, especially if you're a fan, into the stakes of SNL and how, like,
Yeah.
something so grand had such humble beginnings. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. So it
our
sounds
thoughts.
great. I can't wait to watch it.
Thank you for listening. This episode is produced solely by us, musical assets from Pixabay. See you again next time.
Bye bye.